morning, everyone. Let's look at this picture. What do we see? A lot of us would be thinking whether this is half empty or half full. But as you deliberate upon which is the correct answer, or you can always say that this is full because it has half air and half water. What happens is we tend to forget or do not look into the obvious, that is water. When you think of water, most of the times we think about good things, waterfall, ocean, beach, so on and so forth. But if you look into what water is in Kathmandu, as a city we have grown, as a valley we have grown beyond the seams. If you look into the figures of the Central Bureau of Statistics, it says 550,000 households, which gives you roughly around 3 million people. But there's a floating population of another 3 million. And most of the MCGs say now Kathmandu Valley has over 60 lakhs of people, more than 6 million. We have grown, we have developed. But along with the development, what we see now is these kinds of pictures or these kinds of situations across the valley. Water is no longer available as what it used to be. It has still not reached the point in which there will be problem every day. But what we are seeing is water that used to come and flow into the taps of our homes every day, twice a day, now it has been reduced to maybe once in 3 days, once in 5 days at some places. And now it comes in odd hours, early in the morning at 2 o'clock, late in the night at 10 o'clock. Most of you may not have experienced this problem because you have somebody else at home to take care of water. But this is a growing sign of what is happening in Kathmandu. Water is becoming a scarce commodity. When I was working as busy as ever 5 years ago, my taps ran dry. I did not have time to look into whether I should buy a bigger pump to pull water from my neighbor's pipe and wake up at odd hours. What I did was, as any Kathmanduite would do, is to call up a water tanker and get that water. At that point in time, it was cheaper. A 12,000 liter tank would be around 1,400 rupees. And I used to buy 2 tanks of water a month, and that used to suffice. But then that problem escalated. And today now, if you want to order a tanker of water, you need to wait at least a week and pay 3,000 rupees for that 12,000 liters of water. Now, this is a problem that is very, very social, even in Kathmandu. We think about water scarcity in the villages, in the rural areas, where young boys and girls have to skip going to school just because they have to go and fetch water. But this is becoming a social problem even in the urban setting. What can be done? What is possible? Our choice was to use groundwater. And Kathmandu Valley is very, very blessed with a lot of groundwater. You dig a hole, you'll find water there. And you have so many wells that is in and around. But even that, my friends, the level of water in the well is decreasing. Earlier it used to overflow, but now no longer. So even personally, I wanted to find a solution as to what can I do. how can I solve this problem? And while I was thinking and moving on to make a small house for myself, I wanted my house to have abundant supply of water. So do I do boring? Do I dig a well? And at that point in time, I met Tyler McMahon. He's an American. He was here from 2006, researching on water. Then we met at a common platform, and I said that, look, I was trying to build a house, and he was trying to share about his water research. And I said, look, if you can solve this problem, I'll be very, very grateful. Then he came home, he looked into the setting of how I was building, then he suggested, why not rainwater harvesting? And I was very, very skeptical at that point in time. How would rainwater harvesting help? And then he said, no, why don't you try? At least it'll support you. And he also said that you can filter groundwater, make it clean enough, and if you require to be potable enough. And I said, if this problem can be solved, then possibly there are many people like me who's facing this problem. So we installed the system. I was the first guinea pig of rainwater harvesting and what we call as the biosand filter. What does the biosand filter do? Is to convert your well water into clean water. And depending on the source of water, it can be made potable as well. And then we installed this system. Even my engineer friend who said that, Suman, are you mad? Do you want to try this? And he said that, why don't you lay a pipe for your KTL water from the Kathmandu sunset, as every house would have. But Tyler said, I don't think you need the pipe at all. I went with what my friend suggested. I installed the system. I shifted in 2011. From then on, I haven't had to have a KTL pipe be connected to my house. I am water independent. 6 months I use rainwater harvesting. It stretches to the 7th month because I have a 12,000 liter underground tank. And the rest of the 5 months I use the well water, which I filter it through the double biosand, and I have clean potable water in all my taps. It works. People see long queues of water lines, but I have no problem. Even my office does not need water. We are self-reliant on that. Then we thought about what can we do. I was already running a couple of businesses, and I said, maybe this is something good to do, to give back to society. So we said, why don't we start rainwater harvesting projects? So when we started to research on this, we found that the first rainwater harvesting system in Nepal was done technically in the early 1950s in Bhopal. Then came on to Pokhara, and there were a lot of companies, organizations I would say, who were looking into this, solving the social problem through the NGO perspective from 1970s onwards. And we realized that there was no private company. The reason being that if I, as an individual, need a service, whom do I go to? When I go to these NGOs and INGOs, they say, we are busy with projects. I do not have any manpower to spare and come and do your single individual household. There we saw an opportunity. We also thought that if this is a system that works, why don't we work together on this? And rainwater harvesting is not new for us. For Nepal, for a lot of Asian countries, we have done rainwater harvesting from centuries. And even if you ask your grandmother or grandfather, you'll see that rainwater harvesting is done. And we never had water problems as we have now. So then on we try to figure out as to what could be the segment that we want to approach. We looked into a very simple, if you understand the diagram Maslow's hierarchy of needs, and we saw that at the bottom of the pyramid, we cannot compete because there is subsidy given by the government, there is NGOs, INGOs working. Then we came up slowly and we said that why don't we look at the top, at the apex? Why? If you ask, they do not need because they have got a lot of money. They can afford multiple tankers, they can afford multiple underground tanks. But then, if you attach the social purpose of them giving back something to society, then you go beyond rainwater harvesting, as Dr. Bergman was also saying. So we said we cannot call this rainwater harvesting project. When we discussed, and therefore what was born was smart planning. We conserve every drop. As a company, we registered as One Planet Solution, and we said our vision was that we understand that the way resources are used globally, you would need more than 3 planets. But this is to remind that we have only one planet, and we need to conserve the resources that we have. And one of the easiest things to do is to do rainwater harvesting. So how can we convert the social issue into an opportunity and therefore take it to the consumers? And therefore we designed Smart Pani as being for those people who can afford. And we said that it is cheaper than an iPhone. Most of the people, they do not want to spend money for a household system. If you ask around yourself, because the lights are there, otherwise I could have asked you, how many of you have done rainwater harvesting at home? There will be very few hands coming up, because you really do not accept that there is still a problem. But if you look into a World Bank report that was published yesterday, it says that 70 countries are going to be critically underwater consumption by 2030. And there could be a third world war, not because of the nuclear bomb goes off somewhere, but because there will be water issues. Countries will fight because of water. The macro level is there. And what happened in Nepal last year also points towards that direction, that water is going to be very, very important. And the problem that we have, how can we solve that? And therefore, we created a brand called Smart Pani. You do not do rainwater harvesting, you do Smart Pani. You do not clean your well water, you do Smart Pani. And you can convert your yellow well water into clean water. And with the point of last point of filtration, you can have potable water. You can be independent. As our other brand, we call it Smart Urja, where we are into solar. Our office completely runs on solar. And people have this notion that, does solar work? Isn't it only for lights? If solar can power a satellite or a vehicle to Mars, why not power a house? So there is always this issue that challenges. Because a social enterprise needs to be looked into a different dimension, that you are trying to change the mindset of an individual as any consumer product would want to. But then it has different sets of challenges. Rainwater harvesting, I need water when it is dry, like these months of April and May, where there is no rainfall. Why should I install rainwater harvesting? Rainfall is only during the 3 months of June, July, and August. Why should I invest money for the whole year? There is a lot of education that needs to be taken place. We need to educate people that look, if you look into the last 10-year data from the Department of Meteorology, you'll see that it rains every month. Even during the driest month of April, May, and June, you can have 45,000 liters of water on a 1,000 square foot roof. And that is equivalent to 4 tanker water supply, and if you multiply by 3,000, that is 12,000 rupees saved. There is economic benefit that you need to educate on. People dismiss saying that this does not work, especially when you are trying to solve a water problem. As we have load shedding, we call it load shedding here, we say that how can we come out of, when will the government do something about it? But if you install a solar system, you will be energy independent. Our office works entirely grid-free. We have money to buy a 3 million rupee car, a 30 lakh car, or a 1 crore car, and pay an AMI of 15 to 25,000 rupee. Why not for a solar system? Every household which has a family size of 5 to 7, if they invest 1.2 million rupees on solar, or 12 lakh rupees, you can use anything in your house, including microwave oven, washing machine, water pumps, forget your TVs and the lights. But that shift that you need to take from the mental shift that is required from perception is very, very challenging. And it is never easy to market your social enterprise. You need to do it slowly because you know that you are trying to change behavior of individuals. The other part that we look into social enterprises, people tend to have other alternatives. In a social enterprise, there is always government funding coming in. There is some sort of subsidy that is coming along. People do not pay the right price. They are being subsidized. Out of 100 rupees, the government or the INGO or the grant pays 50 rupees. The consumer is only required to pay 50 rupees. That brings distortion to the market when you compete from a commercial perspective. That is a challenge that comes along. And if people think that it works, then if they say that it must be very, very costly. It is beyond us. People do not understand that. And we need a lot of education that needs to be done. And it only works when you have a brand that can connect the purpose of what you're trying to do, the profit that you're trying to make. Because profit is not bad. Why should it be a bad word? In business, in commercial line, you need to be profitable because you need to go further. Yes, you're solving the right problem, a social problem. And that is how a brand helps in trying to make an impact. You are trying to do a very small activity here, but the way it tries to propel other points that starts to happen, then you say that, hey, things are happening. If you touch upon one person and you believe that that works, that will slowly carry on. And a social enterprise has that huge task of making every system, every delivery right, because they're going to doubt you. Unlike a factory-produced system, because they are already there. The mechanics of process is already there. But in a social product or a service that you are providing, there are challenges because the next installation that you do, there could be a mistake. It's a product and a service combined, and that enhances the challenges. But if you do one correctly, the impact is huge. It sticks from one to another and it moves on. Do you know how much rainfall that Kathmandu as a valley gets? It's 1.6 meter, which is 160 million liters, which is equivalent to what Milwaukee is supposed to bring in the first phase. If we can harness that water, it will help us. But it needs a lot of education, and what you do also needs a lot of trust. Your brand that you're trying to make must communicate that yes, if you're working on it, it works without fail. Like a son with Johnson, because he knows, or the child knows that he's going to be caught by the strong arms of his father or the mother. A brand has that much bigger responsibility in a social enterprise. And it is more challenging. But once you work, you can see that the impact that you can create is very, very huge, very, very large. A brand is like the adhesive or the glue that sticks the purpose of what you're trying to do with profit and connects you to the money. Without a brand, a social enterprise has that bigger challenge to fulfill. And it's very important that you understand the needs of the customer that you're trying to work into, the segment that you're trying to do, and you create yourself in a manner in which you can move forward. Water, as we want to move forward, is not rainwater harvesting or water that we're going to sell, but it is smart planning. Because if there is no water, there is no life. But if you can create a rain, then you get no water and you get no life. Thank you very much.